till she was.
Start over.
Shannon Grissom didn't discover painting until she was 33, but once she did, this was a hidden passion and she was hooked and driven. By 1999, Shannon was able to leave her day job and begin to create art as a full-time business. At 46, she self-published her children's book, Monkey Made of Sake, along with a line of licensed merchandise, including a coloring book and popular Monkey Made of Sake's, this is so cool, golf club head covers that have been carried on tour by several LPGA pros. Shannon is an award-winning artist, television producer, host, author, and songwriter, and you can learn more about her and her sock monkeys at sockmonkeyoracle.com. Now, today, I just love this whole part, tap into your inner child and play. When we were children, we all remember this, we used to sit down at a table and color. We didn't have reference photo to copy. Voice is weird. We didn't have rules. We just created and enjoyed the process of creating. This demo is all the wonderful things that happen when we let go, trust, and play. Watch a channeled palette knife painting come to life. Shannon.
Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here with all my friends. So cool.
Happy to have you too.
Thank you. Okay, so the funny thing about this topic for the demo is that it's all about play and letting go, right? So before we start the demo, I'm like, how can I control this? I'm just gonna be honest. I'm like, oh my God, can't do this one. How can I control this? What can I do so that I don't look bad up there? And so I do my, so I do my tuning every morning. I tune in, talk to my guys, and so this morning I'm tuning in, and I'm like, okay, what should I paint? How should I prepare the canvas? And I have to tell you how far my little control freak goes, right? Because at first I thought, well, I could strategically this is so bad at this. I could strategically place, I could do a rainbow of colors, and where I think there should be light or dark, I should just, make it look random, but have it really be something so it aids me so that I do a better presentation. And I heard, that's BS, Shannon. That is not the lesson. This lesson is for me as long as for everybody else. I have to tell you that when I first started painting, I developed carpal tunnel because I held on to the reference photo so tight. And so this is, long over the years, I've loosened up, like 2 styles of work. I do this wild palette knife. This is a channel piece that I started at the Clovis art demo. And then I do more controlled work, still spiritual. I still try to channel joy, but I set things up and do a proper composition and that kind of thing. So this morning, when I'm getting ready to do this, I'm like, okay, I tune in. Let me tell you how I tune in, because I really want my energy to be good when I start. So I get in this meditative state, and then I was taught that you picture things you're grateful for, but my mind can go into all kinds of things. So I thought, what never lets me down? So I start picturing all the happy dogs I've ever known, and they're all coming and wiggling and just happy. And before you know it, I'm joyful and I feel good. And then I can translate that energy onto the canvas. So that's what I do. I picture there. And so I'm tuning in. I'm like, okay, what should I base coat who's coming today? What should I base coat the canvas panel? This is a wood panel. And I hear black. Now I'm arguing with my guides. Can I just put a little phthalo green over the top? Can I just, black is not, there's like the least, I might do red, purple, orange. Black is not usually something that I would use for a tone. And I heard, this is all about trust, Shannon. The whole process today, the whole lesson today is about trusting what's going to come if you just play and you just let it. So that's what we're going to do today. To that end, the other thing I thought about doing was pre-mixing all my colors so that I can And I didn't, this is really good for me to have this kind of restraint. So like I said, I have two types of work. One where everything's.
Can we see the palette to the camera?
Sure. So we've got titanium white, yellow ochre, a little bit of cad yellow deep, only a little because that takes over. Perylene orange, quinacridone rose, quinacridone magenta, permanent green, phthalo turquoise, ultramarine blue, and dioxazine purple. And no matter what I'm painting, whether it's a landscape, a portrait, or this is pretty much my base palette. I'll add some pusher colors here and there, but this is pretty much what I do. I try to lay the palette down in the same spot every day, so that every time, so that I know where my hand automatically goes to the right place. That being said, once I get started, it usually goes to hell, and it's not, but that's my intention.
And these are acrylic, not oil?
No, these are oils
Oh, these
actually.
are oil.
And the
Okay.
other thing that, and that was the other thing, I thought, well, let's bring the acrylics because I could get much further along in the
Can you
painting.
just show the palette a little bit closer to the camera?
So I
A
thought,
little bit more. We want to really see those colors.
There you
we
go.
Thank you.
so I thought about using acrylics and a brush because I thought, well, I could get much further, get more finished piece quicker with acrylics than I can with oils. And I thought, Shannon, that is not what you said you were going to do. You were going to play. So I just want to tell you that even though I'm doing this, I still struggle with it. And so I'm going to take a second. See all the happy dogs. And it's funny, when I go out on my walks, I check to see how many happy dogs I can find. All right, so I have a series of knives. And I've got like a bucket full of knives. I've got knives for everything. But you know what? You could do the whole thing with just one knife. And I think that's what I'm gonna do. Just a mixing knife. And you'll know, supposedly, the difference between mixing and palette knives is that
outside.
mixing have a trowel, so you're not supposed to get your knuckles in it. But anyway, we're gonna do that.
I'm going to mute everybody, and then I'll have to unmute you, Shannon.
Okay. I think this is just gonna show, I'm gonna turn this off because it's just showing my. That's not a good thing. Okay, so where am I gonna start? I really don't know who's coming.
I love that you just keep.
Yes, and as I said in the Clovis demo, TP has a cleaner wipe than paper towels on, yeah. And this is the cheap stuff. And it was like all you could get during the thick of COVID, right? So I said, don't worry, Dwight, I'll use it. Okay, so is it Counting Crows that did that song Way Too Long? Anybody is familiar with that song? Anyway, it's that's I always have a song that's going through my head, and that colors what it is. It's a very upbeat song, but it's also kind of sniveling. So we'll see who. It's like one of those sad country songs that has this great little thing, but when you listen to the lyrics, you're going, dang. So so anyway, I'm gonna start with some purple for the eyes. And just maybe place let's see, this is good. That's good. Nose. We could even do like kids do, a smiley face, and whoops, he's not smiling. And he might not. Okay, so it seems like so my first thing is judgment starts to creep in, right? Oh, he's too low. So you can move him up. I think it's gonna be a big face. It's a little low on the canvas. The thing is, just move it up. Okay, so one of the things that my teacher had taught me is that he said you should never be thinking when you're at the canvas. The thinking comes when you should be painting, then you step back and critique it. I still have difficulty because I like switch back and forth, and it's kind of psycho. So, and you can barely see the purple on the black. And I remember my granddaughter once, she was coloring with a white piece of paper with a white crayon. It's like, Grammy, it's broken. And that's kind of what this feels like. Okay, so I'm just doing, and these are pretty much straight tube colors tinted with white. So let's just add something here, add something here. It's feeling very purple. Must be channeling Gina. Yeah. Add a little yellow ochre to that. There was no yellow ochre there. Okay. Feels like it wants to be higher. All right, so normally, as you can see, I normally start, or it was instinctual to start with dark to light. But instead, I'm going to switch over because I can't see what I'm doing either. I'm going to switch over, add some Cad Yellow Deep. Okay, so the interesting thing about Cad Yellow Deep, it's so rich in pigment. That see how I was generous with everything else? That's all I'll need today because it takes over. It's like Rodney Dangerfield, you know, it's just that pigment just takes completely over. So I'm going to overstate the lights. Let's see. And I want that up higher, so I'm just gonna, that's a cool thing. You can just scrape over things. So when you're a kid, you're not saying, oh, this needs to be here or there, which is what I was doing, right? You're saying, oh, this yellow wants to play with this yellow, or it wants to do that. Okay. Ooh, this is intense. Let's see what comes out. And so there's always, when you do a demo, a fear of not performing. And where I wouldn't be performing is if I did it controlled. So this is one of those. I think I told you guys this before, at least if not, I talked about it in the Clovis demo. I did a demo at Santana Row in San Jose, and this lady is in the back and she's going, I don't know, for like an hour. And then she's like, oh. Now I get it, yeah. I'm putting it on, okay, so this is a very textured, I had white gesso first. This is like a nuclear explosion. I had white gesso on this first, and then I just put, and it's very swirly, very highly textured. All right. It's definitely more of a challenge. And it's okay. So then the other thing is paintings are either warm or they're cool. Although my teacher said sometimes mine are schizophrenic, but you really have to decide. And I'm not sure where this is going, but it seems fairly warm, even though I'm using cool tones. And most people would look at this and go, this is not a face. It looks kind of phallic. And
You don't know that.
I see a butterfly.
oh yeah, like the butterfly.
Good for you, Kirby.
Yay.
You're of heart.
Yeah,
What you.
yeah, exactly.
The mean clown.
Okay,
I actually see a face. I did too.
I'm just gonna. And it is really all about trusting. Let's put add some purple around the edges, maybe some phthalo blue. Maybe that's what's missing because I love phthalo. I think this have to be my favorite.
We had a
Phthalo
little
turquoise.
conversation about phthalo blue on our studio carpets.
Oh, I know, because you know, I had one teacher said you hadn't been painting long enough to use phthalo blue. So I'll use phthalo turquoise. Let's. Ooh, yeah. Okay. This is how it starts. If I can just keep doing that, which is what I intend to do, that's my intention, is to just say what color wants to play next to the other one. Ooh, now I'm seeing a Viking helmet. Okay.
It's like Rorschach.
Yeah, and you know, and one thing, if you look at it logically, I had a portrait teacher say that around the edge of a face, it should be a little bit cooler. But again, that's thinking. I want pink. So now I'm gonna go paint with some quinacridone. Oh yeah. Probably gonna leave the very edges undone, just for transport all the way down to Fresno. Although in this heat, it'd probably be dry by the time I got home. Okay. All right, so what, we got a large forehead here. Let's see, here we go. Let's see my eyes. Oh, we need some red. So that's muddy. Okay, I want that. One thing about palette knife when you're painting like this is I do, well, we've got enough protection, but you know, you can like flick it, you know, on accident. Okay, I like that. And let's just, one of the tricks too that I like to do with palette knife, can you put it down and leave it without futzing it? No. No, okay. There. There's that. Let's add some pinky mauvey. That's a little too low. There. I'm still hearing that song in my head. It's from the, I don't know, maybe the 90s.
Do you play music when you paint?
Mostly in the first thing in the morning. If it's first thing in the morning, no, because I've got music in my head. I mean, like either my own stuff or something else. Later in the day when I need to pick me up, I do a Jack Lance. And if anybody painted with Jack Lance at the portrait group, he'd have his little earplugs, his earbuds set in, and I dance. And I just put on whatever. And the paintings, like there's some guys that only like Steely Dan, and you know, I mean, yeah. That's a long answer, huh?
No.
Okay. Okay. Woo! Yeah, there's somebody there. Let's add some. Okay, so you know, in the portrait behind me, that was very much using the side of the knife and flicking. It was one of those wild nights, which is interesting. Wow, this is it's like me when I first get up.
It looks like Larry from the Three Stooges.
Oh, wow. It's
Your first hand, Larry. Shannon.
I wasn't being
No,
insulting, it's
no.
just an observation.
I didn't take it that way.
It looks fun.
You know what? I've had people, like somebody was saying, came by the booth when I was whatever show, and oh, I love your tomatoes, and I think we're not tomatoes. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. They could be what they're unicorns, yeah, whatever. It's all good. I mean, what I take away is you know, the love.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting that it's surrounding by blue. Now, so then the judgment comes in, his face is too high, and I'm like, no, just adjust the composition. Not now, put down the color. So playing is all about, for me, it's when you're doing a demo like this, I'm even more going back and forth between trying to control and not. I think it's easier at home, but I got in my channeling that I needed to do this. So I am. Okay,
Let's speak to like the artist's mind. People think that we paint solitary, but
oh my
really,
God.
we have all this conversation going on while we're painting.
Oh, I can't tell you how many of you guys in the group here are in my head when I'm painting. I hear trousers, and Bill, when we would do the portrait group, he would talk about how pattern created distance. And I can see Laura, how would Laura do this with the tilt of the head? And, you know, so I, what would Mary Beth do? You know, how would Gina use her purple? Like, oh my God, in the last, when she did with the purple and the, she did this vineyard scene, amazing texture. And, you know, how would Gina put a little texture here? So I hear all you guys. And of course, I'm always chastising myself because Vicky does thumbnails before every picture.
I know.
And, you know, I used to sit next to her, I'm like, no, I just want to go in and paint, right? I just want to play. But Vicky works a lot out in those, you know, in her thumbnails. She gets things done, and then she just goes to town. And so, you know, one way or another, you're going to have to put in that work. And whether you do it up front or later down the road. Okay, so a little more red here. And I'm just, now when I get to this part, I'm applying less pressure, because if I swish it in, or if I blend it more with it being this wet, it's just going to be mud, mud, mud. So, okay. All right, so we've got that going on, and what needs to happen down below? More red. And maybe it needs to have me be saying something instead of silent here. Okay. Okay, so we got nose hair, maybe got a little mustache. Maybe it is a Three Stooges. Maybe it is male. I do a lot, it seems that females or not gender specific come out a lot. So I don't know what this is gonna be. Okay, yeah, okay, like a kid would do, right? Smile, smile, ooh, like a Joker, it's the Joker. Okay, a little purple with some eyeballs. Okay, so I am trying to make this, I'm gonna move this over a little bit. Move this over a little bit. If I'm in people's way, tell me and I'll try
We
to.
can see on the Zoom
Okay,
screen, which
good.
is way cool.
Okay, good. There. And you know what? I want a little lift of the happy eyes. There. All right. So now I can see a basic form starting to come to life. I also started taking a look at my photographs and taking flowers and making flower fairies out of them, and just really, I was too serious. I know, it's hard to imagine, huh? Okay, so this is just making mud. The cool thing is I can just scrape some of this center off. Save it. It's not like there is no wasted paint. If you're playing, there is no wasted paint. Okay, then I can add this over the top. As long as I don't futz with it. That's the trick.
A technical term.
Yes, futz. Okay, that's better. And I'm leaving it rough. It's like sculpting.
You have an intuitive sense of 3 dimensions on a face. You create that depth and light, source of light.
Well, you know, that's interesting. Thank you. One of my more favorite things to do is to paint something that has form. I do better with things that have form than I do with, landscapes are difficult for me. And so, in fact, I didn't even paint them for the longest time, but so form is important. I know the other elements are important, but it's important to me. Okay, that already, okay, so this was judgment, but sometimes that's good. I look up there and I'm like, that's still too muddy here. But you know, there may be a place for that little edge there. And you know what? He needs a milk mustache, so I gotta put that in. Because, and you just know, right, that there's reflected light right above. Like I'm looking at Vicky and she's got this reflected light outline right here. So I'm picking it up heavy on the one side so that I have some control. A little bit of control. Okay. Oh yeah. So you know, when I can just leave it, I'll work some of that in, but when I can just leave that's good. All right. And I think we need some straight tube color. When I first started painting, there were people that were straight tube color snobs. And I thought that you were supposed to be straight tube color snobs. I mean, that's when I was learning to paint. I was taking everything serious. And I'm like, if a straight tube color works, it works. I do know though that you, well, the challenge I have here is that I tend to try to make things tidy and uniform. So if I put something here, I put something there, and pretty soon it's all, yeah. The cool thing though, is that I have challenges, so I can't get it perfect, which is good. That saves me. Like my mouse. And I don't know if it's because mine's crooked, but they're always crooked.
Everybody is perfect.
Yeah. It's like- Okay, a little more red where that meets. You know what? It's got happy energy, so that's good. It's all I want is happy energy. And it to look good. That's all I ask. Okay, so I'm gonna put just a lower lip needs to have some light there. And that's starting to create some form too. And maybe a little red because, oh, you know who this, okay, it's reminding me of Queen. It's the rock band Queen.
Freddie.
Yes, Freddie Mercury. Oh my God, what if I'm channeling Freddie Mercury? I'm cool with that. That would be awesome. Okay. So if I start breaking out into, yeah,
We'll sing with you.
all right. Okay. Oh yeah, that's happier. Okay, so now we have to address this little stuff that because his little face is so high. But you know what? A kid wouldn't do that. They wouldn't say we have to address compositional error. They'll be like, no, this is fun. I'm gonna do it. So back off, Shannon.
Well, I'm dating myself, but I see Richard next.
Wow. Hey, did you know Marvin K. Mooney, Please Go Home? That was about Nixon. Did you know that?
I do know that.
Dr. Seuss.
Just read that.
Oh, he's got a little earring. Yeah. Okay. Let's add some red. That would be fun.
So your technique with the palette knife
Yeah.
is you do some smooshing.
Yeah.
But you also just pat right on top of it.
Right on top. Sometimes, like you can take a contrasting, like I'll go like this. Watch this. I'll just go like this. So it's got some texture on it. And then maybe just almost like scumbling over the top. So you've got a little texture here. Ooh, I like
Oh, I
that.
like that.
That's fun. And if a little bit is good, a lot is better. That's why I don't drink anymore. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. But then I have to stop because you know what? I'm like, oh, there's too much blue. And I just keep adding and adding and adding before you know it. There's too much. So I need to balance some red. I don't know if a kid would say that. It's been way too many years since I was, although I do have some arrested development and that helps. Okay. Ooh, that was a happy accident. Okay. So I was mixing this and then I picked up some of that and then it was like, oh, that's going to sing over the top of other things. So I'm going to not mix it, just grab it so I don't know where it's going to land and put it. You know, it's like we need some balance here. So what I'm going to do on a conscious level is tie in the blues into the face and tie in the colors of the face into the background and marry. They can't be islands. They can't be, that's, you know, we can't do that. We need to be happy together.
I love that pointillist look that there's these points of color.
I do like that I could never plan that when it comes out like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? One of the first, when I remember studying Surratt and thinking, oh my God, that makes me tired. I could never paint like that. And never say never, because that's kind of what's happening. Okay. Spread there. I think we need. See, if you keep going, you're gonna make mud. So I'll stop. And let me get some more. I got a whole new tube of quinacridone rose because I knew we had run out. I like Daniel Smith paint, pigment rich. I use Gamblin and Daniel Smith. And then except for my white, I use Permaba because I love the buttery consistency and that you can get 3 or 4 packs for a decent amount. I did try with palette knife, use a lot of paint. I did try getting a can of white paint. The problem is that the edges start to dry out no matter how good you seal it, or maybe because I just don't do a good job of that. And so for me, I stick to the tube. Okay. Need some of that peachy color there. And if you can't get to it, turn it around. Okay. Then my knuckles are in it already. Okay, so there's. And then I'll start adding some. And it's not, okay, so like this is way too close to the nose. If the nose is here, then you got one eye here and one eye here. So whatever, you just scrape it off. You don't have to fall in love with anything. Anything you don't like, you just take it off. At the end of a session, and this used to just freak me out. I'd see people scrape off their whole painting at the end of a session. And I'm like, oh, but it all depends on, do you want to paint over these ghosts later? And if you don't mind painting over the ridges and having those ridges be evident, then you don't need to scrape. But if it's going to affect it later on, then you got to just suck it up and say, okay, that was a cool experience, but let that go until you can get back in at another time. That's better about the spacing. I'm kind of doing a little blending here. And I'm pushing the nose out a little. Whoops. Again. I'm gonna scrape some off just because I've got too much paint there. What am I doing on time?
You're good.
I'm
It's,
I got a half hour more.
no, you've got, an hour more.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so let's add some there. And then I'll add some light for the tip of the nose. And it will, oops, I just made that really muddy too. May have to move my palette around. All right, so partway through the process, I can see that my palette, you can see it from there. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit because what I'm doing is I'm making mud and I need to have clarity. So even in play, there has to be some clarity. Except on those pure days, which are very rare, where you just sit down and you paint, something really cool happens, you don't even know how you did it.
So what are you doing right now?
Now I'm moving all my clean color to the top. I'm going to move my mixes off to the side so that I can make a bigger mess. I think Laura was talking about getting a huge palette. Who was it that had, Lisa had a big palette?
Lisa has a big yummy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my glass when it fits in that. But
Yeah, it's nice to have the palette keeper for travel,
yeah, well, just
for
using
anything.
it the next day.
Yeah. And that's the other thing,
But
if
I
you
wish it
know,
was bigger.
it keeps things fairly open for a long time, which is good. Okay, so I now have that. I'm going to move over some of these mixes. I'm even going to mix some of it together just so that I have room. And I'll move that off to the side. even what I call mud is a neutral somewhere that I can use. It may not be where I wanted it to go, but I can use it somewhere else. There. So I think the other thing that this
Can you
does,
just show us that page?
yeah, the other thing that this does,
Hold it up a little more. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get this from falling off.
We're gonna raffle that off a little bit later.
Okay, cool. I'll sign it.
All right, just a little closer.
So the thing that this does
Thank
is
you.
not only does it give me more room, but in the middle of I think every painting that I do has an adolescent stage in the middle of the work. And it's this ugly adolescent stage. I mean, it's just got issues. So what this does, and this might be preteen and it's still got that going on. What this does is it helps me pause and gives me clarity before I proceed. And, you know, they talk about the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so there are things that I know I do that I try to guard against. And so somehow switching the palette, giving myself room to breathe, helps me go back to this with fresher eyes. It also gives me, 3 minutes away from the canvas. Now I'm purposely not stepping back yet.
That's what I was gonna ask.
There's, if I were to step back now, I would totally get into analytical mode and beat the crap out of myself, right? Oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. And instead, I'm going to continue to play. So I do have ADD. What I had started to do was squirt out some more going back around routers way back when. I did not know that I might have some ADD. I mean, not through school, not through anything, until I started doing the TV show. And I watched myself on TV. I'm like, oh my God, I'm all over the place. Okay. For some reason, I want red there, but I know that if I put that down without scraping first, I'm just going to do the same thing I did earlier. So I'm going to scrape some of that off. There. There. And now I can't touch it. Don't touch it. She's touching me, kind of thing. Okay. Well, you know, we got to add some more red around the side. And, you know, I've talked about this before. I always do what I know I can do, and I sneak up on what scares me. And so I've got.
So what scares you?
Right now, I'm like avoiding this section because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. And the problem with that is that it is not my painting. I'm here to let whatever's here come out. And so what I'm hearing is just keep going around the sides and we'll give it to you later. Just, you know, hold your horses kind of thing. I love this. Isn't that just cool? That's just like I could do something with this knife here. I'm gonna scrape it off. And you know, it's like that quote where you gotta let go of the person you thought you were gonna be so you could be the person you're supposed to be. And that's what I'm trying to do with this piece. Okay, so let's adjust the eyes a little bit. Again, just straight. Carbazole, violet, dachshund, purple, whatever you want to call it. There, that's enough. No, it's not. Okay. All right, so we'll maybe start putting in some eyebrows. What color should they be? Every certain color you can think of. We'll start with red. Because I like red. So I was tempted to get that little tiny knife. I'm not going to do it. I want to do the whole painting with this. Okay. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah. It's got that quizzical. And then maybe some eyelids. And we're going to join some of this. And maybe add a little, not quite that dark. Maybe just throw in a little dark right there. And maybe upside down, just dark right there. There. The thing is, I started doing palette knife and portrait group because all these people were getting amazing paintings done in 1 3-hour session. And I couldn't do it. I'm not a fast, I'm more of a contemplative painter. And so I started doing palette knife because I wasn't so hard on myself because I knew I couldn't get it done. I would just put down what it was. I would loosen up. Pretty uptight. So, all right, so that's happy. Now, the thing with me, as far as getting a painting done, I want the spirit of the thing to come up and grab you. That's my whole goal. And I had an aunt that looked like that. That's just.
Looks like Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Little bit.
Maybe I need to paint a glove. Cool. Okay. It does have that clowny kind of look. All right, so I'm going to cut in here because that was too uniform, and I want to just echo some of that there. It's got to be rising from something.
Almost in a costume.
It does, huh?
Theatrical, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good
It's
idea.
like the light of a theater, kind of the theater over makeup. Yeah, oh yeah, I love it.
Oh, so maybe we could do some poofy things. Thank you for that.
My color.
Yeah.
You actually get to hear them talking live to you rather than just in
Yes.
your head.
I love it. A little bit of purple down here. Oh, I like that purple. A little bit for balance.
Wow.
You're making my mouth water. I want to go up there and paint.
And just
too.
paint through it. That's awesome. If I can inspire anybody, go for it. That's awesome. Okay. See, I just threw that right over the top. Right, that over the top. I'm starting to incorporate some of the other colors. I mean, I just want to blend. I don't want, I want things to be harmonious. Harmony is important. Yeah. Ooh, it's like those, you know, those little medieval hats they had that did that.
They're calling the cones and.
Yeah.
I never saw the purpose of those hats. How the heck they kept them on?
You know what? Okay, this brought up a random memory. You know, I was in marching band in high school. We had these big old hats. Did you know you could put 2 tall beers in one of those? You could. It hurt while you were marching, so you put a towel under there, and then halftime we would go and
Shannon, I don't believe this story at all.
Oh, I do.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. She's like, trust, Shannon, trust. I think it's a he, she. Call you Lola. Okay, need a little dark under there, but not the same dark. Maybe some more phthalo turquoise. Oh yeah. But break it up. Right in the chin. Took it on the chin. Oh, okay. Now I know where more goes. See, that's the thing. You put it down. It's like, oh, now I know where to put some more. Okay. So lately, oh, that was fun. I've been making sock monkeys because I don't know. They're coming to me. So I started painting them, never did make them. Now I'm actually making physical monkeys. This week, I took a week off and made sock snow people. And a rabbit came yesterday. There's the whole book, something is coming with this. And I felt like I had to have these so I could pose them and play with them and everything. And it's funny when the grandkids come over, like, Grammy's working. Grammy's really working. Okay, so I love that blue there. That makes me happy. And that's what happens when kids paint, right? You put something down, you're like, oh, I love that. Okay. But I don't want to mirror it, but I do want it there. Okay, so it needed that. And get rid of what's on the knife.
Now it feels like a fawn.
Ooh.
A fawn,
Ooh.
F-A-U-N.
And you know what, the nose needs adjusting, but I'm not there right now, so, more cowbell, more red. I'm painting from a different side, different perspective. Oh yeah, that is fun. Okay. Deeper red, so maybe some more of this magenta. I do tend to try to tone it down when I get toward the edges. Oh, wow, that's nice. And because I'm using a lot of quinacridons, there's a lot of transparency, so you can see some of the black, and it creates its own neutrals without me having to do that. I like it when the paint does the work for you. Where does it want to play? Over here. I'm still hearing your counting crows.
You'll have to find that song after.
Yeah. I think it was telling me to. So I feel like when I get messages from the songs, it's, oh, wow. Okay, so I'm tempted to put a little more of this kind of red thing over on this side. I will add some there, but I don't want the same shape. That's boring. Okay. A little more turquoise. Right in here. So some of it I'm pressing harder, some of it, oops, I just got rid of some cool red. That was an accident, but that's all right. I can always, and I think there needs to be some more right there, but it's kind of muddy. Maybe that's what it needs. Oh yeah. The face needs to be warmer. We've got cool all around, but I want to add some, but I think I need to surround it. So it's funny because we were painting from the inside out, but I'm painting from the outside in. That all makes sense? Okay, good. All right, phthalo turquoise, again, phthalo turquoise is like that Cadiolo Deep, where you just add, I mean, I'm not kidding, this much on your knife, that's all you need. And if we're using good pigment, it's gonna do that. If you use the cheap stuff, then you're gonna need a whole tube. So you might as well get the good stuff, right? Okay, this is lighter, it might be too, so that's the analytical. This is lighter, might be too much for the edges. But then if you're, yeah, it is. On the other hand, no, it's not. On the other hand, if you mix it with what's already there and press harder, then you guard against what you thought was a problem. That's what I get for thinking. And I like this right here. See where how you can scumble over the top. And so you can, maybe the edges just don't. I like how you can see that.
Shannon, when you prepped your black canvas, did you use acrylic to?
I did. I used, I had acrylic gesso, and then this morning I had acrylic black. If I would have to say any underpainting that I usually do, unless I'm painting over something, is acrylic underneath.
Do you feel that working, say you were working with acrylics right now instead of oils, how different would that be?
Well, I do work with acrylics for these types of things,
Right.
but I don't do palette knife because it dries so quickly. Unless I'm using an extender, I'm stubbing my toe on the canvas, and
Okay.
I can't get this yummy blendy thing. I just got my finger in there. So I would have to say, out of these types of images, I've done 26 of these so far, and I'd have to say 20 of them are acrylic.
Oh, I didn't realize.
They're acrylic, but this is oil. That was a palette knife. But so if you see the knife, I've only done one in palette knife with acrylic. And that's only because I haven't done it long enough to understand how to use it. It can be done. Gina's proof of that. I just haven't developed the skills yet.
Yeah, because they do handle so differently.
Yes. And I do like, and that's the thing is, I'm in a small confined space, so I was just going to do acrylic. And then what I just set up I paint, And then I take this out of the space that I'm in, I let it dry in the garage, and it's like, okay, it keeps me from breathing it in all day, because my office is in the same place
And
as.
you're not even using like with a
No
brush, you're using a lot
solvent.
or
Yeah,
whatever. you're
no
using.
medium, straight.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, and I like this because when I'm done, this is an Aries thing, man. I don't have to clean brushes. I am done. All I do is wipe my knife, put my lid on, I'm out of there.
Exhausting to have to do the cleanup.
Yeah, the cleanup makes me tired. You know what? I ever said if I ever got rich and famous, forget the famous, the rich, I would have somebody that cleans my brushes and a massage person on staff.
Whoa. I like the way you
Yeah,
say it.
yeah. That would be the way to do it. Okay, so we need to tie in some more of this. I'm gonna go for some straight. I stopped using, I'm trying to get off of all the harmful pigments. So I still have some Cad Yellow Deep, which I will eventually switch over to a non-toxic thing. And so I'm experimenting with this, what orange is this? This is close to Cad Red Light, Pyrrole Orange. It's close to Cad Red Light. And so, and it also is opaque like that. All right. So I'm about to put this on here and I look at this and go, Shannon, this is a predominantly cool thing. And you're getting ready to do this. That would change the whole thing.
Can you just come a little closer
So
with that?
step away from the orange, Shannon. That is what, so I mean, I can tone that down a little bit, but it's not what, no. No. Okay, so toning it down a little bit helps, and that can add some warmth where it needs it. Well, I do have some, so I do have some of that there. Let's just add a little, there. That was happy. All right, so I'm conscious of the logical part of me is conscious of edges and what's too hard and what's too soft. And some of these need to be, you could either, like this one is a softer smushed thing. So even though there's a definite value contrast, it's not harsh because the edge isn't harsh. There are times for hard edges and times for not. I think I'm looking over here and seeing some edges that could be like right there it is right there that needs to be addressed. I'm gonna just be bold and put some of this right here and smush it and see what happens. Well, it took care of the edge problem, but I don't like what's happening there. But you know, you just keep going. That's the thing. It ain't over till I start saying. And then even then, it's not over.
Carolyn Hartling said in chat, you look like you're ready for Mardi Gras.
Oh, yeah, totally. Don't ask her about her beads. Okay, yeah, that's better. Right over the top. And I took some of that color that I was afraid to use. I don't think kids get afraid to use until people start criticizing them. And so by putting this, this is my thought process, by putting this over the top here, that creates a neutral there where there wasn't one. And oops, this is, I have to scrape. There, now I can put it down. I'll save that color for later. I like the Mardi Gras. We'll get a benet. You can see some of that texture under there. Oh yeah. And then I'll add light over the top after. And maybe that's just the darker side of the face. We'll carry that over. Okay, I'm just gonna like to get rid of that edge, just smash it there. Okay. And you know, it could have a cleft chin. That could be why that little thing is there. Or not. We'll see what happens. Okay, I can see where I need to add a little bit of this. A little bit of light right up there. And I will blend some of that in a minute. So much for my drop cloth, right? And it does need some eyelids. It has no eyelids. Now this is when I want to get out the little knife, right? But I told you I'd do it with one knife, so I'm gonna not do that. but I have to tell you, I love this guy. He's happy. This one's good for smushing. We might use that later. This one's good for just flat, beating the crap out of it. And this tool here is actually a stylus, but I love using it when the paint's really thick. You can sign your name really easy in the paint.
Okay, we have a question
Yeah.
from Moira. Shannon, do you converse while you are painting without all of us watching?
Yes,
yourself.
I do. I talk to myself. First of all, I hear people that I've painted with in my head. I'm talking to myself. I'm getting music. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And I actually hear, and I don't know where this comes from, but I'm sure it's gotta have happened to you. I get ready to do something and you hear no, or don't do that, or stop. You know, you're like, you think, oh, just a little bit more here. And you just totally took it over to where it didn't want to go. So yeah, the long answer is, yeah, but it's all silent, right? Nobody would know. I get up at 3 a.m. and I paint. That's why you see me so early on Facebook. I pretty much paint between 3 and 5, 3 and 6 every morning. And then I spend most of the rest of the day on the business side of work. So, so I have to be quiet because Dwight's still sleeping. I don't want to wake up the household. So, yeah.
No, you still go, ooh.
Yes. Yeah. Dang, that was cool. That was fun. Yeah. And the cool thing is he's hard of hearing. So we can't always hear when I do things. Okay. So I grabbed a little bit of purple and I'm putting it, I cleaned my knife. I'm putting it just on the, on the tip here, because I'm going to attempt to put in some eyelids. And I probably, on a logical yellow, probably shouldn't use the same purple that I used there, but I'm going for it. All right, let's just start with a little line there, a little line there. And then almost kind of draw. And then I'm going to add.
Now, we can't get really in close when you're doing that, but it looks like you're using you've got your
Just the
knife
tip.
angled.
Yeah, angled just the tip. Okay. And now I'm going to add a little bit of light in between there, probably lighter than what I would normally do, because it'll blend, hopefully. If not, I'll smush it. That's a technical term. Okay, just a little suggestion. You know how there's a form in the eyelid, and this is going to be. All right, right. It didn't show up because I didn't clean my knife. It's invisible again. All right, I'm gonna have to. There. That's better. It's starting to. All right, let's define the nose a little more. And I just keep going round and round and round and adding things all over the place. It's not, I've had students that were like a swarm of locusts, and they would start left to right and it would just be all done like that. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm like, as you can tell, all over the place.
So Shannon, if you were using your other favorite knife to do the eyelids, how would that have been?
Okay, so let me show you on the palette. All right, so here's this knife, very pointy, and you can pretty much just draw with it. It's just, it would have been a simple stroke. And because it's pointy, it lends itself to that, where this is very rounded, and this is meant for mixing. This is not meant for painting. And my point for all this is you don't need to go out and buy a zillion things. Use your palette knife and have fun with it. You don't have to. I have tried a ton of different palette knives, and I use about 3 of them, mostly. And always the newest one that comes out, I got to check it out, try the serrated edges, and I've used it once. So, okay, so here's a story. When I had to get a day job, I went to denim, and I was typing, that we would do typing tests for new candidates coming in. And this guy took it like 5, 6 times. And I said, you know, he wanted a different typewriter. I let him use it was a different computer. I let him use every computer that was there. I gave him as many chances as I could. And he finally said, you know, my computers, your computers just stink, you know, that's why I'm not doing good. And he looked really athletic and I said, hey, I mean, I think I was kind of done by then. And I said, hey, do you golf? And he goes, yeah. And I go, it's not the putter. It is not the putter. It is not the knife.
Did he get mad and walk out?
No, he laughed.
Oh.
And then he passed it and I almost cried. Still chokes me up because he worked so hard.
Wow.
But I can't tell you how many times I want to get a new putter when I just need to have more time under the brush.
Okay, now you just switched pallet knives.
Yeah, ooh, that was like totally didn't even know. I would not have known unless you told me because I was like in the zone. Okay, nope, I promised I would do it with one knife.
What difference does it make? Do what you
Maybe you
want.
want. We will allow you this.
You will allow me that? Okay,
You set the rules, we didn't.
okay, okay, cool. Then I'm putting the nostrils in with it. Because it's a lot easier. And the, you know, on one side, you know, it's a little more comfortable than the other, right? So I'm just gonna use some straight white and add color over it. So it's easier for me. I'm going out to the edge of the nose there. And I'll have to switch to the other side. Just because it's easier for me to reach and okay, so let's, looks like a dog nose. Okay, I want to get rid of this dark.
Is it a happy dog?
It's a happy dog. Dwight and I always on our walks see how many happy dogs we can find. We usually find several. And it's funny, we know the names of all the dogs on our walk. We don't know the names of all the people.
You know what you want.
Okay. I'm just gonna blend this in and then add it and get rid of that dark. And with that's almost like a nostril there that I didn't put in on purpose. Or I didn't, that was an accident. Okay. It's all an accident. If you do it right. You know what? It didn't make me a better painter, so I'm going back to the little guy. I will find in the middle of a session, I got one knife or a brush in one hand, another. I'm like attacking.
I usually have one in my mouth.
Yes. Oh my God. I used to paint with I had this wild teacher and we would, well, because back in the day, we would have open thing of turf with wine. I mean, you're smelling all this. I can't believe how toxic it was that we would, you know, he'd be spraying retouch varnish, you know, and smoking cigarettes.
You ever dipped your
In the wall. Yes, yes.
Drinking I was going for my coffee and grabbed my paint water that I was bringing both into the kitchen and started to drink.
Oh my God.
2 days ago.
Oh.
That explains a lot, that explains a lot of things, Tina, with your behavior today.
Exactly.
All
Just
right.
kidding.
I'm overdoing on the white because I can't seem to get rid of this muddiness here. Okay. Oh, it's just a little tiny nose. Okay, fine. That's fine. Works. Mine's wide, so I tend to make them wide. Okay. Time 11:30. We got till what, 12?
12, yeah.
Good. Okay,
At 12, the pumpkin goes away.
sounds good. Well, I also don't like to outstay my welcome here either. Okay.
You can't outstay your welcome.
Oh, oops, that was a little too whatever. That's technical. Okay. We'll add a little this here. And then I'll add some more over the top. I'm gonna futz with this just a little, and then I'm gonna go back to the center and come back to it. Oops. See, I just messed up a nice little thing. All right, so I'm going to, and sometimes what I'm trying to fix isn't broken. It's the surrounding areas that really need addressing. So I'm gonna add some nostrils in here, a little bit of purple here. And I need to start sculpting. You know, the face is kind of flat there, so.
Well, it isn't from here.
Okay, good. You know what? This is a good time to step back.
It's looking good, Shannon.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. It's got a wonderful glow.
Okay, it is starting to take some. It's got more form than I thought. Okay, what I'd like to address,
Just let me go in for a little bit.
go for it.
Yeah, much better.
How it looks from a distance is always uniquely different than how it looks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
Sometimes
well, you-
I
you
do
know,
like
it's
stepping back.
It's brighter
Yeah.
when the camera. Yeah. Yeah, I love all the, that was a little bit.
Okay. Speaking of what. All right. What I noticed stepping back was that there needs to be the transition's a little too harsh in here, so I'm going to soften that some. And my first thought was I needed to do something here, but actually, if I put a little more warm tones there, that might do it. That might start the ball rolling. And that's the whole thing. You start the ball rolling, see what you can do, what you know you could do, and then other things are like they give you ideas. Oh, we could do this. This is one of those playthings. Okay, I'm taking this big knife. And I'm going to put this flat here. Like that. On the forehead. It's not bright enough. Let's just really emerald it. Somebody asked me what my show was like, and I said it's kind of like Bob Ross meets Emerald. Okay. So I'm smashing. Smash, smash, smash. This will give some texture. Ooh. Little light here, right there, and I overdid. But, ooh, I like how you can see what's underneath. So it was one of those, if a little bit is good, a lot is better, and I screwed up a really cool place. But you know what? You just get the knife and keep smushing. Knife is my friend.
Okay, can we see what you smushed?
Okay, so this was just like, this didn't need it over here,
Mhm.
and so if you just go over the top, you're still gonna get that texture. If you do this, smush. Oh, and you know what? That was the other thing I noticed. It's too abrupt right there. So let's see if I can tone that down a little bit. No, that's not doing it. Okay. All right. My cool idea didn't work, but it was fun trying. Okay, so I ended up blending that, and that ended up working out. So
Yeah, nice.
that's better, huh? Getting there. Okay, so let's add a little, I wanted this side to be a little lighter. And this needs to be Oh, man, I messed that up. All right, so just keep going. You just keep going. Some of this bright stuff. All right, so this is like something you wouldn't think to do, to put something this bright on the edge. But I think if I add sparkles of that and weave it in, I think it might work. And if it doesn't,
It's Debbie's fault. Yeah, because I'm right close enough to tell you how to do this.
5 minutes.
Is that warm orange?
Yeah, that's that warm orange. And you know that's dangerous
Gorgeous.
because once you start adding that, you know,
I
you gotta,
love it.
you gotta, so I think maybe the bottom of the lips need to have that. And then the top need to be redder. Because I used to wear always bright red lipstick. During COVID, I pretty much stopped wearing it. Okay. And the edges of the mouth need to be a little darker. Things that you know. Maybe just add a little purple there.
Well, it has definitely turned into a sheet.
Yeah. Maybe it's Freddie Mercury's sister. And you know what, what's showing down here is not purple, it's just, yeah. And so now I need to echo some of this really bright stuff in places. Because it's gotta be tied in. All right, so let's see, there's not enough of this turquoise around the edge. And so what I'm gonna do is go back. I'm gonna go back to the edge. Grab some of that quinacridone. Okay. Like, okay, so I'm so tempted to do something uniform over here, which, you know, that's the biggest problem I have is trying, you know, you look at things and they're too even and they're too boring. So, let's see, that would be some tension down here. So we've got 3. Let's do 3 compositionally, 3 things here. So a little here and maybe a little dark red next to the cool red next to the warm red. And just adjust this shape. Okay, and it still needs more of this bright. Let's just go for some straight stuff and see what happens over the top. Oh yeah. It's loud. She's kind of on fire, and that was too much. It's like, just scrape it off. Just scrape it off. Oh, there. I do want to try to tie this thing in. And I'm gonna step back one more time and adjust it for the last bit of the session.
You need a break, Shannon?
No, thank you. Because if I do, I'm just a lot of different energy. And that's the other thing is when I come back into these is asking for the same person to come back when I do it. Okay, so it's heavily warm on that side, not so much on the other side. Just add a little random. Now I will step back and see what I can do in 20 minutes. You know what, already, it's still the same problem I had before, or the same challenge I had before, whereas you've got this island here. And with this one, she's integrated, right? So that's what I need to do is this whole integration.
You're talking about brightening the surface to give it.
Right, like, and it may be,
functionality.
it may be that she needs to be a little warmer, but I also need to bring. So this is one of those cases where you think about fixing things that aren't broken. I kept trying to warm this up. But that's not what I need to do. I need to cool it down in some areas and add a little bit of the cool, maybe just a little and some remark things, and then add some warm right in here. So I'll try that. But I think I still want to put some, yeah, you know what, it needs some red. Let's give her some cheeks. Oh, and you know what? This needs to be a little darker here and here on these edges. See, I get the paint ready, I get it all ready to go, and then I get ADD and go, no, I need to go here. Okay, so a little darker here. And a little lighter. A little more form there. Give her a chin. She's gotta have a chin. And that's just so wet and blending. Okay. And a little bit, I think a little warmer there, or either that or a little. Let's see if we can do that. That's happier. You know what, I did Art Expo in New York, and somebody came by and said, you know, you don't have enough angst in your paintings. And, you know, you should have a worm coming out. I had this big apple I had painted, you know, it's like 48 by 48 apple. And they said, you know, you should have a worm coming out. It should say something. And I said, happy cows, happy painters come from California. I said, I do have angst paintings, and I do them. And there are times when I'll do that just to get things out. And there are times when I will leave them. You know, it depends on the intent. The intent for today was to do something that was more joyful, but I do have some that are, you know, it's all got to come out. Whatever emotion I have, it's all got to come out. And I'm not always happy. So I think what I try to steer myself in that direction when I get derailed. That being said, if you listen to all my music, it's heavy. Everything I've written, you know, it's like, it's all got to come out somewhere. Okay, I thought I was putting the bright stuff down and I missed it. All right, you know what? In the eyes, it doesn't need white, but it needs maybe a little gray in there. I hope this is not too much. Let's just add a little bit right there. Now, I could say that I would, this is not going to be one of those that I scrape. I'm going to build on top. This is one of those where I'm just going to keep throwing stuff on top until I get it where I want it. So the one I did for Clovis, I scraped that one when I got home. I think I scraped it in the middle of the session. Yeah.
Isn't that what we see down there behind you?
Yes. I scraped it and then I probably went into this 10 times before I got it where I wanted.
Wow.
And this is a different thing. This is more pointillism. This is very, you know, if you can pass it around, it's more little tiny strokes. This is more blended. And I just have different energy today. I can see where it needs a little, just.
You want me to pass around the other painting?
Yeah, that'd be great. My hands are wet.
the need to cover all the canvas?
No, I'm gonna leave it like with this one, I didn't. And the cool thing was, I was gonna do something different and they gave me that canvas and so I didn't prime it or anything, it was just there. And I left it like that.
And yet it looks more detailed and finished from far.
From afar, when you're close. And I don't know if it's because the older I get, even with glasses, I still am not seeing the level of detail that I did. In fact, my teacher used to tell me to take your glasses off when you paint so that you would only be seeing the big picture. And at 30, I didn't get it, but I get it now.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
It's way cool to see it in person and up close. Yeah. Cause we've seen these online and stuff, but, were you done?
Sorry, I just.
It really is the thing.
It is rather, and
It's
and
more of a,
to
it's
get
really
it
a joyful experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, both pulls you in and it's fun experience. Picture on surface.
One of the things like with the nose, I typically cannot, or I've had challenges getting that done in one sitting until it dries.
Yeah. You know.
I just, yeah, I have to let it dry, because otherwise I'm futzing with it, making it mud. Now, there's more I could do, but I think I'm reaching saturation here. Let's try a little bit of light right above this. No, time to leave it alone. I think that's enough for it. And so that's how I would start. It'll probably take me 2 or 3 times at this to get it where I want it.
So later on, can you share with Gina or someone
The finished
the
painting.
finished painting?
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions? Anybody out there? Out there in Zoom land?
So,
Mary
oh,
Beth,
sorry, go ahead.
Shannon, the first time that you saw a face emerge that you hadn't planned to paint. what did
Oh
that
my
feel like?
God. So it happens, 3 o'clock in the morning in our old house. We used to have a detached mother-in-law cottage in the back. That was my studio, best studio ever. So I'm painting, I think, a sky, and I'm painting, and this man appears, scared the crap out of me. I mean, I wanted to go in the house and go, boy, there's a scary man in my painting. And it scared me, and it was so present and so alive. It really scared me. And one of my students bought it and I couldn't wait to get rid of it. I mean, I was just, and then it was probably, and I think
Hanging out.
I did, but he wouldn't go. He kept coming. And so then it was probably another 10 years before these faces started coming again. And I think I opened up to that kind of thing. And now I just, when I stepped to the canvas, what I said before you was, I just said, anybody that's benevolent and positive, come through here and I'll let you out. And she really has a very calm, peaceful, this one's more explosive. But I hope that they all have love. That's my common goal. Anybody else?
I was wondering, and I think I already know the answer to this question. Do you plan to do a series of these and maybe they would go into cards?
They're gonna be Oracle cards. I have 26 done now. I'm gonna do 48. And with the sock monkeys, I did the art first, and then I did the graphic design and then the text. And I was gonna do these this way, but I heard in my meditation that no, right now you got 26 done, start on the graphic design, and pretty soon the text is gonna come and all that. So that's gonna be my next series. Right now, my challenge is so I've got this going on, and then the monkeys, the whole children's thing, and I'm not sure what's going on with that, but yeah. So my sock monkey oracle deck just published, Beyond Words, and there, thank you. So this was a 20-year overnight success. And
Point it to the camera.
yeah, where's the camera? They're available on Amazon, actually anywhere you want to go. If you go to sockmonkeyoracle.com, you can take your choice. And Meta here in Oakhurst is carrying them. And
Are you selling them today?
I'm selling them today for $20. And I take Venmo and cash. So and I can open one up if people are afraid or afraid.
So have they been well received? Or
They
you-
have been well received. In fact, my contract, I only get paid twice a year. So I get my first check probably by September 1st. So I'll get my first royalty statement. But I already looked at the Amazon rankings, and considering the zillions of titles out there, they're doing really well. And if you have bought them, please review them on Amazon, because that helps them. I need 50 reviews in order to rank in the search engines. Right now I have 19. And they're all 5-star, so that's good. But I'm not asking for 5-star, just asking to put your honest opinion of what you felt when you experienced them. So yeah, they're doing well, and I'm so used to doing everything myself. I had written the publisher and I said, hey, do you want me to send these out to metaphysical bookstores? Can I do this, this, and this? And they said, oh no, Simon & Schuster is doing this already. You know, basically, I didn't realize how much help I had on you're so used to doing everything. As an artist, we do everything ourselves. And so it's really nice to have this huge support team. Really nice.
International, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
Helps a lot.
it does. It does. Yeah,
Has it been translated into? any
not yet, but I did give them the rights for that. And they also wanted the rights for my next publication. And I'm glad I did give them that. My lawyer said, you might not want to do that. They are the most amazing, supportive, awesome publisher ever. I mean, yeah, so I would give them the rights to whatever to work with it. So, yeah,
You also license your work?
I do. I've got it on golf ball markers, you know, what you put on the tee, on personal checks, which, you know, I don't sell too many of those these days, but I still getting checks for checks. There's still people that use them. And on tile murals, kitchen backsplashes, and I submitted to this new puzzle. I've been rejected. I can't tell you. I thought puzzles would be a really good fit, and I've been rejected a zillion times. But you know, you just keep throwing it out there, and every once in a while, somebody will, you know, pick them up, and that's just my income. The percentage of income from licensing is 98% as opposed to my sales of originals and prints.
Wow.
So it's, yeah,
2 seconds. This would make a great puzzle.
thank you.
I mean, you can see the difficulty,
It would be
particularly
hard.
around the
huh?
edges. But also, if you want to go a little bit more realistic, I see leaves.
Ooh.
Look at
That's a
look-
fabulous idea.
Look here at the
Yeah, it looks like.
green,
It
at the
does.
stem.
Oh my goodness, it
I can tell you
does.
Just a couple of those.
Yeah.
Give the
You
impression
just
of
need acorns now, right?
some sort of nature thing.
I love that.
I was
Does
gonna
feel like a dryad,
Look
huh?
at the green.
Yeah.
The man when he was saying
Ooh.
half hour or so ago.
Wow, that's a great idea. Thank you.
By the way, when you said it, I think that Vicky said international. Is the sock monkey an American thing or is it everywhere?
It is, but it's not. I mean, it was big in America, but when you think about, they've been making, says BC, they've been making things out of socks and animals like that. And England's got this whole, they've got lots of sock things. And so it used to be, but now it's not so much anymore. And with the advent of the internet, you're seeing, in fact, I saw in Australia, they're selling my sock monkey oracle for like $50. I mean, I don't know. And their exchange rate doesn't warrant that, right? So they're obviously getting it, or they wouldn't be doing that. So, yeah.
Well, it may be shipping costs.
Question and chat,
Yes.
Toby.
No, that was a compliment from Moira earlier.
Thank
She
you.
said you had a great technique.
Thank you, Maura. Yes.
Just because I covet your palette knife holder, where'd you get that?
Oh, God. And I have a taller one for brushes, for tall brushes, and it keeps them from getting harmed. I've had this since 92, so I'll have to think of where I got it.
I've just never seen.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it just pulls out. goes like this and it pulls out. And yeah, and so it's great for when you're on the
Can you
go.
show that again?
Yeah. So it's got a lid,
Up a little higher. There we
a
go.
lid. Pull it out. And so I have one twice this size for my brushes.
Wow.
Yeah. Handy.
I did have a quick question also, because when you're doing the licensing things, are these contracts that you get for yourself? In other words, they don't come through Simon and Schuster. You search out places to get your own contract. These are completely separate that you can use because you have rights. You
Right.
have kept the rights to your.
I have kept, keeping the rights is really important and what you do. So I've been in the licensing arena for a long time, so I pretty much know that. I still get a lawyer to review it, but I know what that's all like. I didn't know diddly about publishing. So I found a great lawyer in San Francisco who's actually on the board of National Writing Organization. And so he cost me a house payment, but he was totally worth it. And so I retain the rights to in any contract, like the one I got for tile. I gave him exclusive use on tiles, only on tiles, not on anything else, you know. And I'm very careful about who I'll give an exclusive to, because the very first contract I had, I won't name the place, but it was licensed Fine Art Prints, and I gave them exclusive use for everything. They tied up my work for 2 years and did not do anything with it at all. Didn't print anything, didn't do anything, and I couldn't do anything with it while it was under contract. So I learned very quickly what to do and not to do. And I started off initially on my own. Then I thought, we had the same agent for a while, Jane at Leo Licensing. I don't think Jane's doing much of that anymore.
She quit.
Yeah, and after having an agent, of course, they take 50%, right? So it's great if they're getting you tons of contracts, but if you're, you know, so the cool thing is, she initially got me that tile mural contract, but she bowed out, new people took over, I renegotiated the contract, so now I get full percentage, and this new company is more on the ball than the old one, so that ended up working out. I've had others that didn't, but I'm very careful not to license, you know, I had the golf club head cover, so I was careful in the golf industry what I would license it on. And, you know, I want to make sure I don't compete with that's not doing anybody any good. Make sure I'm not competing with any of the people that are licensing my work. But my whole goal has always been to license the heck out of everything, and, you know,
So do you trademark the work before you license?
copyright it.
Copyright.
I do copyright it.
And that's that application process where you can copyright
Through the-
how many in a group.
Yeah, although anything important, I don't do group, you know, like each of these Oracle cards that I'm doing, I'll pay the money and do each one individually. Each of the monkeys are separate. Some of my lesser work and not as commercial. How's that? Not as commercial. You can operate a whole batch. So it depends, because you know, it's expensive. It's
It is.
really expensive, and it starts adding up.
And you've already discovered the unauthorized use of some of your.
Oh my God, I've in China and different places have ripped me off, and even a neighboring town, I went to Open Studios is the equivalent of Art Trails. So I went to my girlfriend's Open Studio, and she said, well, I would have done fine with Open Studios if I hadn't done these tiles like you did. And I said, what do you mean tiles like I did? Well, the neighboring town had taken my advertising postcard and made tiles from the advertising postcard, has my name right on it. So I mean, it was blatant, and they were selling these tiles, didn't get my permission. So I went over and confronted them, and I said, well, I was really angry. I said, don't you know this is illegal? And when they said yes, I went ballistic. I said, and then it wasn't Happy Nation, and there was nobody left in the store by the time I was through. But and I didn't, and the thing is, it was in the middle of that 2008 when everything was crashing. I didn't have money for a lawyer, even though I had the copyright claim. I didn't have money to fight it. And I thought, here it is, artist is barely getting by and you're stealing from me. So I was really, really angry. So I now, you know, And at the time, when that first happened, I had not copyrighted everything. Now you can get $100,000 in damages on top of the claim if you're copyrighted. So that's the difference in actually getting it copyrighted. First of all, the burden of proof shifts and the amount of damages. So so it's worth the money if you're gonna do it.
Okay, well, we're coming up on noon, so we
Okay.
want to thank
Thank you,
Shannon.
guys.
Thank you. Very much. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be with you guys.
Thank you. Great.
And we'll just close on the painting.
Some people are clapping up there. That's good.
See you guys. Thank you. Miss you.
Well, it's so interesting to hear somebody else talking